Have you noticed this? The moment you decide to change, the world seems to rise against you. You plan to exercise. Suddenly, it rains. You commit to learning a new skill. Your friends tempt you with distractions. You finally sit down to focus, your phone won't stop buzzing. And worse still, when you choose a new path, people laugh. You'll never change. Stop dreaming, nobody escapes their fate. But here's the paradox. Every doubt, every laugh, every obstacle is not proof that you can't grow. It's a test of whether you truly will. Marcus Aurelius once wrote, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength." So I'll ask you directly, will you keep chasing approval from others? Or will you rise into the stronger version of yourself that no one can deny? If you're ready to grow with Stoic wisdom until success has no choice but to follow you, stay with me until the very end. And if this message resonates, join our community here at the Stoic Habit, subscribe, and let's walk this path together. Part 1. Discipline, the root of freedom. Have you ever wondered why some people, with money, with connections, with every opportunity lined up, still fail? And why others, starting from nothing, rise to heights nobody thought possible? The answer can be wrapped in a single word: discipline. Epictetus once said, "No man is free who is not master of himself." Think about that. Freedom is not the absence of rules. It is the ability to command yourself when excuses scream the loudest. Discipline is not a prison. It is the doorway to true liberty. Look at Elon Musk. He didn't become the world's richest man through sudden sparks of inspiration or fleeting motivation. He worked relentlessly 100 hours a week for years, not because he always felt like it, but because discipline forced him to continue when comfort whispered, "Stop. Now turn the lens inward." How many times have you postponed your dream simply because you weren't in the mood? How many times have you abandoned progress because it felt uncomfortable? Be honest, those moments are not small. They are turning points. Motivation comes and goes, like the weather. One day it shines, the next day it vanishes. But discipline is bedrock. It doesn't ask, "Do you feel ready?" It only asks, "What must be done today?" and then demands you act. Every time you choose discipline over comfort, you train an invisible muscle, the muscle of willpower. And just like lifting weights, the first reps are painful, awkward, unnatural. But repeat them enough, and what was once unbearable becomes automatic. That is why ordinary men become extraordinary. Not because they were born superior, but because they forged themselves in the fire of daily discipline. So remember this: discipline does not chain you. It frees you. It frees you from procrastination. It frees you from being a slave to moods. It frees you from the invisible prison of inconsistency that keeps so many trapped in mediocrity. And here's the cliffhanger. If discipline is the root, what nourishes the tree so it grows tall and unshakable? What keeps it alive when storms rage and progress feels painfully slow? We'll find out in the next step of this journey. Part 2. Patience builds real strength. We live in a world addicted to speed. Fast food, fast internet, fast results. Everyone wants overnight success. And when it doesn't show up instantly, frustration takes over. But here's the truth: real growth cannot be rushed. A mighty oak does not rise in a single season. It grows slowly, silently, year after year, until its roots are so deep no storm can tear it down. Patience is not weakness. Patience is strength in disguise. Think of Warren Buffett, the Oracle of Omaha. He built his fortune not by chasing quick gains, but by letting compound growth do its quiet work over decades. He once said, "The stock market is a device for transferring money from the impatient to the patient." It's not just finance, it's life. Impatience drains your power. Patience multiplies it. The Stoics understood this deeply. Seneca warned, "Haste is the mother of failure." Why? because rushing blinds us. We abandon what matters most for the illusion of fast progress. Now look at your own journey. How many times have you quit not because you couldn't succeed, but because results didn't arrive fast enough? How many dreams have died, not from impossibility, but from impatience? Patience is the antidote. It is the ability to show up today, even when the reward feels invisible. It is trusting that every small action, repeated daily, is shaping something far bigger than you can currently see. Think of water dripping on stone. One drop seems powerless, yet years later, that steady rhythm carves holes through the hardest rock. That is patience at work. Patience does more than build results. It builds character. It keeps you calm while others burn out. It stops you from comparing your chapter 1 to someone else's chapter 20. It transforms waiting into training. Every time you resist the urge to quit, you grow stronger. Every day you keep showing up without applause, you become unshakable. So let me ask you, when growth feels slow, will you surrender, or will you continue, knowing that success might be waiting just beyond the next sunrise? Because here's the secret: success might arrive late, but it never ignores those who refuse to give up. And this leads us to the next battlefield, the place where all victories and defeats are born. Your mind. Part 3. Control your mind, control your path. If there is one battlefield where your destiny is decided, it is not the office, not the market, not even the world outside. It is your own mind. Inside this silent arena live your greatest enemies: fear, doubt, insecurity. They whisper, "You're not enough. You'll fail again. Why even try?" But in that very same space lives your greatest ally: clarity, courage, strength. Which voice wins depends on which one you feed. Marcus Aurelius reminded himself, "The happiness of your life depends upon the quality of your thoughts." If your mind is chaotic, your life will mirror that chaos. But if your thoughts are disciplined and focused, your life takes on that same order. Think of your mind as a garden. If you let weeds grow, unchecked resentment, envy, fear, they choke everything else. But if you plant seeds of gratitude, focus, and discipline, your harvest becomes extraordinary. Look at Michael Phelps, the Olympic swimmer. Before every race, he didn't just train his body, he rehearsed the entire swim in his mind, stroke by stroke, turn by turn. So when the lights flashed and pressure mounted, his body simply followed the script his mind had already written. That is the power of mental control. Most people never train their minds. They let every random opinion, every distraction, every passing fear storm the gates. Then they wonder why their life feels unstable, unfocused, unfulfilled. But you can choose differently. You can be the master of your mind instead of its prisoner. This means catching your thoughts as they arise, challenging them, asking, "Is this belief true? Does it serve me?" And if not, replacing it with one that does. When you control your mind, chaos outside can't break you anymore. Criticism may sting, setbacks may arrive, uncertainty may knock at your door. But inside, you remain steady, anchored, unshakable. And here's the question that separates the strong from the fragile. Do you control your thoughts, or do your thoughts control you? Because the one who masters the mind masters the path. And that path now leads us to the next secret, the quiet but unstoppable force that builds greatness over time. Consistency. Part 4. Consistency is stronger than intensity. Growth does not come from one explosive effort. It comes from showing up again and again and again. Most people start their journey with fire in their eyes. They hit the gym for 3 hours straight. They read half a book in one sitting. They push with intensity, but only for a week. Then the fire burns out, and they wonder why nothing changed. But here's the reality: success is not impressed by intensity. It is built by consistency. Epictetus said, "First, say to yourself what you would be, then do what you have to do." Notice he didn't say, do it once. He meant, do it every day, until it becomes who you are. Think of a river cutting through rock, not by force in a single moment, but by persistence over time. Drop after drop, day after day, until even the hardest stone yields. Look at Serena Williams. She didn't become one of the greatest athletes of all time by one incredible training session. She became great because she trained with relentless consistency, long after the cameras stopped rolling. Her excellence was not an event, it was a habit. Now ask yourself, how many times have you tried to change your life with a short burst of effort, only to quit when the rush of motivation disappeared? Be honest, we've all done it. That is why consistency is a superpower. It doesn't rely on good moods. It doesn't vanish when you're tired. It builds quietly, invisibly, until the results are undeniable. Every small daily act compounds into something extraordinary. 10 pages of reading each day becomes hundreds of books over years. 20 push-ups every morning becomes a body transformed. A single journal entry each night becomes a mind sharpened with clarity. And here's the hidden gift of consistency. It builds trust with yourself. Every time you follow through, you prove that your word means something. And when you trust yourself, confidence stops being a performance. It becomes your nature. So, ask yourself, do you want to burn bright and fade quickly? Or will you choose to be the steady flame, quiet, persistent, unstoppable? Because the world may overlook the one who starts loud, but it can never ignore the one who never stops. And now, if consistency builds the foundation, how do we protect that growth from the noise, opinions, and distractions around us? The answer lies in silence. Part 5. Silence protects your growth. In a noisy world where everyone announces their plans, their goals, their every move, silence has become a superpower. Most people don't realize this. They think telling the world what they'll do will motivate them. But science shows the opposite. When you talk too much about your goals, your brain feels rewarded as if you already achieved them. And that false reward kills your drive. That's why silence protects your growth. Marcus Aurelius warned, the more we value things outside our control, the less control we have. And when you seek validation from others, you hand them the keys to your progress. Their doubts, their criticism, their envy suddenly control your direction. Look at Jeff Bezos. Before Amazon was a global empire, he worked quietly, almost invisibly, building step by step. No hype, no endless declarations. And when the results finally appeared, the world couldn't ignore him. Silence shields you in 3 ways. First, it prevents premature praise from stealing your hunger. Second, it protects you from unnecessary negativity. And third, it allows you to fail in private, to learn, adjust, and rise without the weight of judgment. Think of your growth like a fragile flame. If you expose it too early, the winds of doubt can blow it out. But if you guard it in silence, feed it carefully, it becomes a fire that no storm can extinguish. Ask yourself, how much energy have you wasted explaining your dreams to people who never understood them? How many times have their careless words planted doubt in your heart? What if, instead, you redirected that energy away from talking and into building? What if your results became your voice? Imagine the power of emerging one day not with promises, but with proof. The world is filled with people who talk, but the ones who build in silence, their success arrives like thunder. Undeniable, unstoppable. So protect your growth like it's sacred, because it's island. Let silence be your shield until your results roar louder than any explanation ever could. And yet, even with silence, even with focus, life will still test you. Storms will come, pain will strike. The question is, will you let pain break you, or will you turn it into your greatest source of power? Part 6. Resilience turns pain into power. Life will test you. Not once, not twice. Again and again. No matter how disciplined you are, no matter how silent, how focused, pain will arrive. Failure will show up uninvited. Rejection will sting. Loss will break your heart. Betrayal will leave scars. Most people see pain as a stop sign. They retreat, they complain, they give up. But the Stoics saw pain differently. Seneca wrote, "Difficulties strengthen the mind as labor strengthens the body." Just as muscles grow against resistance, your character grows against suffering. Think of Steve Jobs. Fired from Apple, the very company he created. Most would have crumbled. But Jobs transformed that humiliation into fuel. He built Pixar. He rebuilt himself. And when he returned to Apple, he changed the world forever. Pain became the forge of his genius. Resilience is not pretending it doesn't hurt. It is standing back up anyway. It whispers when everything screams at you to quit. I will continue. It bends when the storm rages, but it does not break. Picture a forest struck by a violent hurricane. Shallow-rooted trees are ripped from the ground, but the ones with deep roots, they sway, they lose branches, they endure. When the storm passes, they are still standing. Resilience is your root system. It anchors you when life tries to tear you apart. It doesn't just help you survive pain, it transforms pain into power. Every setback carries hidden wisdom. Failure teaches humility. Rejection teaches patience. Struggle teaches strength you never knew you had. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "The impediment to action advances action. What stands in the way becomes the way. What looks like an obstacle becomes the very path forward." So, ask yourself, will you let pain silence you? Or will you let it forge you into someone unstoppable? Because here's the truth. Your growth is not decided by what happens to you. It's decided by how you respond. And once you learn to turn pain into power, you're ready for the next step. The highest level of freedom. Self-mastery. Part 7. Self-mastery creates true confidence. Real confidence. The kind that cannot be shaken. Does not come from money, looks, or status. Those things can vanish overnight. True confidence is born from one source, only self-mastery. Epictetus said it plainly, "No man is free who is not master of himself." Think about that. If your emotions control you, if anger, fear, or impulse dictate your choices, you are not free. You are a prisoner of your own mind. Self-mastery is taking that freedom back. It is becoming the CEO of your life rather than an employee of your moods. Look at Nelson Mandela. 27 years behind bars, yet he never allowed bitterness to master him. He walked out of prison, calm, steady, unbroken. That inner mastery became the foundation of his leadership and gave him a confidence no prison could destroy. Most people confuse confidence with arrogance. Arrogance is loud, flashy, desperate for attention. It collapses with one sharp criticism. But real confidence, quiet, calm, unshakable. It does not need applause. It's simply island. How do you build this kind of mastery? Through small victories. Waking up when you said you would. Finishing what you start. Choosing calm when provoked. Each act, tiny but powerful, proves to your subconscious, I can trust myself. And when you trust yourself, the world can no longer control you. Criticism loses its bite. Failure loses its finality. Distractions lose their power. Self-mastery also breeds awareness. The Stoics practiced nightly reflection, asking, did I live by my values today? Did I react, or did I respond with wisdom? Where can I grow tomorrow? This daily audit sharpened their control and made confidence inevitable. So ask yourself, are you a servant to every passing mood? Or are you the master of your actions, your habits, your mind? Because the strongest person is not the one who can lift the heaviest weight. It is the one who has conquered themselves. And when you reach this level of mastery, you unlock the final weapon, a force so powerful it turns scattered effort into unstoppable momentum. Focus. Part 8. Focus creates unstoppable momentum. Growth demands focus. Without it, your energy scatters, your progress stalls, and your potential remains untapped. Most people live distracted. They chase every opportunity, every notification, every opinion. Busy, yes. Productive, no. But the Stoics knew better. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "Concentrate every minute on doing what is in front of you with precise and genuine seriousness. Because when you give yourself fully to one task, one mission, your effort compounds into unstoppable momentum. Think of sunlight. Scattered, it warms. But focused through a lens, it burns through steel. Your attention works the same way. Look at Steve Jobs. His genius wasn't just vision, it was ruthless focus. He said no to 1,000 ideas, so Apple could say yes to a few that changed the world. That focus turned a small garage project into one of the most valuable companies on earth. Now ask yourself how much of your energy is being stolen by endless scrolling, by meaningless debates, by worries you can't control. What if you redirected even half of that toward one mission that mattered? Focus creates momentum. And momentum, once built, becomes nearly impossible to stop. It's not about moving fast in every direction. It's about moving steadily in the right direction until the compound effect makes your progress inevitable. This is why you must learn the power of no. No to distractions. No to unnecessary commitments. No to energy drains that don't serve your future. Every no is a yes to what actually builds you. And here's the hidden truth. Focus doesn't just create results. It creates peace. When your mind is centered on what matters, you stop being torn apart by noise. You stop wasting energy. You start living with clarity and strength. So I'll ask you, are you letting distractions own your life? Or are you directing your focus to forge your destiny? Because once you choose focus, you unlock momentum. And once momentum is on your side, success has no choice but to follow. And this brings us full circle. Discipline, patience, mental control, consistency, silence, resilience, self-mastery, and focus. 8 Stoic tools that, together, make you unstoppable. Conclusion. Discipline, patience, mastery of the mind, consistency, silence, resilience, self-control, focus. Together they form a force that cannot be stopped. Success is no longer something you chase. It becomes something that chases you. And when it finally arrives, you won't be surprised. You'll be ready. Because you built yourself strong enough to deserve it. If this message resonates, give this video a like, subscribe to The Stoic Habit, and share it with someone who needs this reminder. And make your vow in the comments. I will grow until success has no choice.